I'm Mike Marzetta from Mind's Eye. One of my life's goals is to never grow up, never have to grow up. What could be worse? My wife, Christy, and I had kind of two fundamental values that kind of led to Mind's Eye's creation. We wanted to make the difference in lives of kids, and we wanted to have fun doing it. Mind's Eye Robotics is a high-quality, hands-on STEM education experience. We try to give the teacher a nice high-tech set of tools. We teach the teachers how to implement the curriculum in the lab, and 90% of it is them building, programming, formatting, designing, inventing. We want Mind's Eye to be cooler than Xbox. We want the kids to go there and come home from school every day and go, wow, I did the coolest thing today, and not necessarily know that they've learned all this stuff. Kids are very passionate about it. You can see that they're having fun, they're excited, they're energetic, they're in the zone. I hear a lot of it. How do I get my kids to do homework? Well, you make it fun, and they come in before class starts, and they stay late, and they're not thinking of the extra credit. They're thinking, I'm having too much fun, and I can't put this dang project down. It's college level stuff that they're learning. Change and learning are synonymous, and if you don't change, you get left behind. You got new companies emerging using new technologies and have a high demand for high skilled labor. They're good paying jobs. It'd be great to just hire some local folk to fill those. I think that we've got that kind of potential here in Spokane. We're graduating some great kids. When STCU supports learning, they're supporting our future. So many other organizations out there are so bottom line profit focused. I think they lose focus on what's important. I see STCU helping the greater community outside of it to get better, to learn, to grow, and to progress. We're here to do good. We're here to help the greater good. We're very proud to be able to partner with STCU to that end. I think what's a better place to help the greater good than with helping kids? I'm Mike Marzetta, and STCU is here for good.
Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business talk show with your host, Ryan McNeese. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and we're here in the studio with Tyler Dickerhoof of Brixton Enterprises. Thank you for being here. Now, we lead in with Brixton Enterprises, but you're juggling many, many things, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show, is from a business perspective, you're always thinking, you're always creatively looking at the next thing. Talk to us about the enterprise that you've created and how you've done it.
Yeah, I think when you create something, a lot of times you look back 5, 6, 7 years later and it's like, oh, this is where we're at.
How did we get here?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So kind of to start off where we're at now, started 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I graduated college from Cornell University with an animal science degree. I relocate to California because I was going to take in a profession of being a dairy nutritionist. I did for 13 years.
Isn't that interesting?
And
that's why I like the story. Who would guess right off the bat?
Yeah.
Animal nutritionist.
For everything we're doing today, that's my background. Yeah. And so relocated to California, in part if I was going to be involved in dairy nutrition. There's no better place to be than California, where they have the most cows anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country. And so I worked for a corporation, Cargill Incorporated, for 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of along the way, I realized that I was an entrepreneur. I grew up on a dairy farm. I grew up with entrepreneurial parents, and I was really ready to work for myself. My wife was a self-employed hairstylist, and so I decided to start our first business, my nutrition business, Dickerhoof Nutrition, in July of 2006. My wife was 7 months pregnant, and I decided I would leave my paycheck and go start my own business.
Perfect timing, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey.
But isn't that always the cliche that when's the right time to start a business? That clearly, quote unquote, isn't the right time, but you did anyway. And that's what I respect about folks that make the leap.
I think, as I've learned now, 12 years later, is you have to have enough desperation to push you past all the things that are going to be difficult. So if you're not that point of, I don't know where I'm going to, pay for my mortgage, how I'm going to feed my kids, whatever else, I need to go out there and do it. That drives innovation. That drives opportunity. So that was the start of my nutrition business. Maintained that through action up until as a dairy nutritionist up until about 4 years ago, 2013. So in that time
2006 to 2013.
Yep. And so I was active as a dairy nutritionist, changed that then along the way to more of what we're doing now, human nutrition side of things. But in that process, we relocated to Spokane. We had 2 kids then at that point. Third was on the way. We wanted to be closer to family. My in-laws had relocated to Spokane, so we decided we're going to go somewhere.
And had you been here before at all?
You know what's funny is if you had asked me 15 years ago,
right.
2002, just had graduated college and said, hey, do you know where Spokane, Washington is? I'd be like, is that close to Seattle? I'd never heard of it. I had no clue. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Ohio, went to school in the Northeast. Spokane, what?
Right.
If you told me Gonzaga, okay, I've heard of Gonzaga, but I don't know where it's at.
You wouldn't have relayed that to Spokane necessarily. Yeah.
Who takes Gonzaga and Spokane unless you know and puts them in the same place?
Yeah, they do now.
Yep.
They do now.
They do now, but still, Gonzaga is way more noted as a name than Spokane still. And it's a hidden gem. I love it here. So we relocated here, decided to start raising our family. At that time, 08, 09 was tough. My dairy nutrition business, I had success. I was, making a living. We had multiple 6-figure income, doing great things, successful in business. 08, 09 hit. And with the way that business is set up, working with individual clients, large majority of your income comes from few people.
Right.
My most, making quite a bit a month, and I had 10, 12 clients. One day, day before Thanksgiving, and this was in 2008, I believe, I went to visit with my clients. We wanted to address something, and he fired me. And a quarter of my income disappeared that day. And
interesting, you can remember that day. And many of us in business, there are specific benchmarks that we're defining.
Absolutely. And, it's one of those things that I learned a lesson through that process. And one of the lessons I had learned is my business was growing. My family was growing and decided to, you know what? I'm happy and comfortable where I'm at. And one of the adages I had at that point and always had is I didn't want to hire employees because I didn't want to have to cash check I didn't write.
Right.
And one of the things I've learned is by doing that, you cash really small checks. And so at that point, I was like, hey, I'm fine. Enough for myself to do. I'm not responsible for anyone else and have to deal with whatever they're dealing with. And so I kind of put a lid on my business. I wasn't actively going out and trying to grow more. I was happy and content. And then all of a sudden, the slide came. Yeah. And all of a sudden, as I learned, is if you're not growing, you're going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
There is no staying flat. You're not growing, you're going backwards.
Yeah, and that's true.
And going backwards, though, can bring a lot of innovation because it was an industry that I realized I wasn't truly in love with, and I love agriculture. I am a agricultural proponent, advocate to this day. Absolutely, that is still what courses through my veins. But yet, as a profession, man, I would say the only other industry that is as hard as agriculture is the fitness industry, is a gym.
Well, look at you. You've done both.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly. And so that I can firsthand relate. And, so with that, I looked at an opportunity to say, hey, I need to diversify myself. I actually took a job with a company here in Spokane as part of us moving.
And that's in that 08, 09 period
yeah,
at this point?
So we moved here July of 09. Took a job with Commodities Plus. And so they are a privately owned firm here in Spokane where they consult with predominantly dairy accounts throughout the nation. And they help advise them on commodity markets. They help them take physical positions on commodities. And so how I knew about them is they were working with some of my clients.
Right.
And so just kind of a relationship we built. My in-laws had moved here. I get this phone call one day from a 509 number. I'm like, oh, wait, where are you guys at? Oh, Spokane. And it kind of worked out there naturally. I worked there for 4 years where I worked there 3 weeks of the month, and I traveled back to California 1 week a month, maintaining my nutrition business.
Interesting.
It was kind of mutually beneficial because
provided some stability, family.
For us,
you to keep
absolutely.
doing your dream.
Yeah, it allowed me to maintain a business that was bringing enough revenue. I was dumb to turn away and walk on it.
Right.
But it was also gave me a transactional type business model, which I wasn't used to, that provided some additional income, but it also provided kind of an outlet. and it still allowed me to be within my industry. I learned a lot there. I learned a lot about markets.
Right.
I learned more about talking to people, working with people in a different array.
Yeah, maybe engaging in your own business.
Absolutely.
Allowed you to expand the engagement that you'd make.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I'm going to relate this to one of our later businesses, Training Ground, which we own now, is when you talk to somebody about the gym they go to, it's a very personal, it's a very,
Absolutely.
hey, that's where I go, that's where I belong. And so if you're like, well, I own this gym, and you go there, well, there's really not this, it's an antagonistic relationship.
I would almost liken it to, maybe a bad example, but I think it's true, almost like people talking about the churches.
Absolutely.
Oh, I go to Farm Girl Fit, or I do CrossFit, or Training Ground, physique.
Yep.
You're right. Folks talk about it like it is their church.
Yep. And it's, so in the dairy industry, when in regards to a nutritionist, it's the same way. And so it's a very, it's hard to build those relationships. You may be friends with, like I'm friends with other business owners here. One of my good friends that as a mentor, Tyler Lafferty, owns the Union along with Nick Murto. And so they own that. Good friend. We talk a lot about it, but our two businesses are kind of antagonistic in the marketplace in a way, even though they're not. Well, the same thing was in the dairy industry. And so one of those things with that is that, you know, clients, you are like either you're embraced or you're hated. There's no middle ground. And so it came down to with such few clients, man, it beat you up, it spit you out.
Right.
And so having this business where I, you know, consulted in commodity market, I got to be more engaged with a lot more people and got to enjoy the industry a lot more, but it came at a price.
Right. That's interesting.
I was on call 24/7. You know, my wife, here a couple weeks ago, there was a couple situations where I was on call. I had a few things happening, and she's like, I remember that's what our life was like. You know, our kids were little, and you were...
Phone was ringing.
All the time. You'd get a phone call, and they'd ask for a solution, and you're like, I have no idea how or what, how I'm going to solve this, but I have to solve it.
I have to resolve this.
Me growing up on a farm, understanding taking care of animals, if I don't solve this, they don't eat. A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
If
well, there's lives at stake.
There's lives at stake. There's ultimately lives down the chain at stake, and it's a taxing position. And in that process, we had been exposed to a business. Kelly actually met this lady on an airplane and introduced
I get a kick
her.
out of how so many business stories are. There are these benchmarks, as we indicated. But there's also serendipitous scenarios where something like that, where an entire relationship moves forward that you never would have thought. Almost the alchemy type concept. Let's take a quick break and come right back to that story about meeting a business individual that took you to new heights on the airplane.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. The website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome back to Business Talks. I'm with Tyler Dickerhoof here in the studio of Brixton Enterprises. Right when we left for the break, we were just talking about a bit of a kind of a serendipitous or alchemy type scenario where Kelly, your wife, was on an airplane and ran into somebody that business-wise took you in a direction.
Yeah.
Tell me about that story.
She was on a flight from here to Phoenix, and she was going back to visit some girlfriends in California. We had recently moved here, so this was 2011, and sat next to this lady, and long story short, she was introduced to Isogenics, and that is a company that we've partnered with, have used the products, have had great success now over the last 6 years, hardly changing our own bodies. You know, at that point, I was a tired, stressed out, dead end
business owner, no time left in the day.
Dad, 3 little kids. She was a tired mom of 3 kids, and it was a blessing. It came to our lives from a nutritional point of view, and really, you know, affected us.
Well, and with your nutritional background, to be presented with something that you bite at, really, that you actually think is legitimate, is saying something, because you, if anybody, has the background to assess that.
Totally. And one of the things that, you know, Kelly first presented to me, and I'm like, I'm not sure about all of it, but these 2 products, dude, I'm all about. And
that's interesting.
It's kind of, you know, progressed on that. You know, 6 years later, it's like, well, okay. Man, it was a answer to prayer. And I say that because when Kelly and I got married, here she was a hairstylist. I'm bald. She is, you know, she's a hairstylist. I am, you know, bald. I'm a dairy nutritionist. 2 totally different backgrounds. I grew up in Ohio. She grew up in California. And we prayed for something that we could do together. We prayed for something that had to do with nutrition. Because it was a passion of mine. Had to do with making people feel good about themselves. Kelly doing hair.
Right.
And, of course, getting back to, I told you, agriculture really pours through my veins, had to do with cows.
Right.
And it's whey-based. It is nutrition. It is helping people feel good about themselves. And it's also more than that. It's created a network of thousands and thousands and thousands of people that bless our lives, are some of our closest friends.
And you would have never met.
Absolutely not. You know, people today that, you know, I look for inspiration and I find great connection with that aren't here in Spokane that I would have never known otherwise. And that conduit has been provided. So, with that, obviously, we launched network marketing. Guess what? 10 years ago was kind of a bad word. I don't think you can go anywhere today with your eyes open and not understand everyone's involved in some type of referral marketing, network marketing.
For sure.
Your law business. How do you get most of your clients?
Yeah, it's word of mouth.
Exactly. And so when you find something you're passionate about, when you find something that's, I have a connection, emotional connection to, you know, that's what is driven through the internet. What's driven through social media.
And that connectivity to engage in a way, to have a trusting, credible relationship.
Totally. And then when you look at it to say, hey, man, you know, for Kelly, she was at home and kind of a position from her, and we're talking about business, and she's like, all right, I want to get back into doing hair because these kids are cool, that's great, but I want to go be an adult.
Right.
And
have balance.
Yeah, she one day decided, it's like, okay, I'm going to get back in doing hair. And so I'm going to go to a salon and try to build a clientele. And she sat there all day long, because not from Spokane, didn't know anyone, had no clients. Meanwhile, we had a babysitter at home that she was paying for that day. And she's like, well, this doesn't work.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense.
How can I find something? And she's like, well, I'd heard about people that had had success with it. Okay. That's where it started. For the last 3 years, we've been top 10 income earners in the world through Isogenics. And that's been a lot of hard work.
Well, that's a feat in and of itself. Statistically, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's realistic. And I think you combine interest and passion and drive and all those things you have to be a successful entrepreneur with passion in that industry, man, you can have it. And in that business really incorporates everything. And so it was real easy to fold that into Dickerhoof Nutrition. So we went from cows to humans. As I tell my friends in agriculture that kind of look at it, they're like, I do more to promote the dairy business today than I ever did
when you're
as
in the dairy business.
Active nutritionist. Because I'm encouraging people, hey, consume dairy products. There's a lot of great things about dairy products. They do a lot of great things for you. And I'm actively involved in that every day as compared to when I was helping people feed their cows and they're like, make it cheaper. And I'm like, I can't because we're losing money. You know, you see an industry where, you know, the dairy industry where there's, you know, 08, 09, there's clients of mine that were committing suicide because of the financial stress that they were under. And yet I'm over here saying, you know what, I'm actually promoting people to consume more of the product that everyone in society wants to take back. Because it's not.
Right.
So that's
But I think your life skills, opportunities, but your credibility and your background to then be in the businesses you're in, whether it be the training side or the nutrition side. I do think you bring a lot to the table, though. I think someone else maybe that wants to get into a similar line of work might not bring that to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly an advantage.
It's obviously, any business you do, you have to have a skill set.
Right.
And network marketing is no different.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a skill set. You have to be willing to talk to people.
Yeah.
You have to be able to, walk your talk. You have to be able to do all those things. The cool thing about it, any business you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to put in the time and the effort and understand my skill set is not the same as yours.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have similar strengths, I can continue to build those skills worthwhile.
Right.
And, we can, do things, do things similarly. And so that's what it's been so much fun, because it's allowed me to use all those skill sets that I developed 15 years professionally in a couple different avenues into something extremely rewarding. So we talked about the gym fitness,
Mm-hmm.
and this is how it fits in. So we got to a point where I'm traveling a lot, 1 week a month back to California. Kelly's really busy growing this, business that we're growing, transforming lives, doing all those things. That's a lot more fun than what I'm doing over here playing with cats. It's a lot less dirty.
Right.
And I had been involved from day one, offering my nutrition expertise, offering kind of behind the scenes administrative business things. And it kind of got to a point in one of our largest fights ever. And I think if you talk to many entrepreneurs, especially those who are in business together, we talk about the alchemy of it. There's a serendipitous event that creates change.
Oh, yeah.
Kelly had been in Australia visiting her sister. She came home. I was like, here's the deal. We either figure out how to do this together, or we're going two separate ways. And at that point, that was on a Sunday. I walked in on Monday and I quit my job.
No
and I
kidding.
said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And the guys I worked with, they knew about, our businesses. They obviously knew about my nutrition business. It wasn't, I'm leaving you guys in a lurch. It's
Right.
like, this is what I need to do.
But
What's
you
best for
knew
my family.
intuitively this was right for you at this time.
Absolutely. It was one of those things I was telling my wife. Here's the deal. You're burnout. You're stressed. Your skill set is maximized. You're not able to use what you're best at. And I was really good at evaluating dairy farms that way. And I was doing that for our business. And I said, you need to hire a CEO. You need to hire someone who has a skill set to look over all of this, to help direct your business down a path. You either hire that or I'll do it.
Right.
And the opportunity was for me to do it. My wife, right, wrong, or indifference, like, okay, that's great, but you need another project. And
She seemed to know you well.
yeah, I needed to have something to keep my wheels spinning. And my brother and sister-in-law had started a gym in California by the name of Training Ground. And so we decided, it's like, hey, that's a great model. We believe in it. We saw that trends in California happen
Migrating here.
Yep. And so we decided to follow the same thing. And we looked at, literally, I quit my job on Monday, and on Tuesday we're looking at facilities to start this gym.
Not wasting any time.
Nope. And it was just, hey, let's do it. And we ultimately were able to find a building to purchase on the South Hill. It was an old schoolhouse that we've completely
I love that. That's so cool.
remodeled and renovated, and it was barren. It was sitting empty, and now it's been, a useful piece of society in the community for the last 4 years, and that is Training Ground.
I can't believe that's been 4 years.
Yeah,
I cannot believe that's been 4
Yes.
years. Time flies.
it does. It's a hard business, though. It's a hard business, and but it's like any other hard business. It's rewarding. It's rewarding to see people who, it changes their life. And
Yeah, you're seeing that change right in front of you every morning.
absolutely. And one of the things as well that we've been able to do is give other people the opportunity to start their career, to start doing something that they didn't think possible. Kelly and I never walked into that thinking, hey, we're going to be here running in the day-to-day. We were, walked into, we're going to invest this, we're going to help build the community, we're going to help do something that is an interest. I've had a, interest in fitness. When I was in college at Cornell, I started working at the fitness center. And so it's kind of that idea in, keeping myself fit and active has always been an interest. So being involved in a gym,
Second nature almost.
Yeah. And so now you're saying, okay, we're circle back around Brixton Enterprise. How did that start? Well, that was really kind of the vision of us doing something together.
Right.
And we call that Brixton Ranch. Well, we've created Brixton Enterprises to kind of encompass everything we do. We have Dickerhoof Nutrition. We have Training Ground.
The holding company, if you will.
Yeah, and we have DNF Real Estate because we own our building that our gym is right now. We just got completed building a building on the north side that we own that our tenant, CrossFit Rewired, is operating in. So a brand new building, 6,500 square feet. I haven't been in it yet, but I've told it's absolutely amazing.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. So
You're never short of things to do.
No, and I'm looking
Is your
for
wife
the
still?
next
I was just going to say, is Kelly saying you need another project?
She knows me well enough that if I don't, something,
Because you got
I'm
a lot
not
of projects,
fulfilled.
right?
Well, I think what's interesting is in the industry of, we'll call it network marketing, there's a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to retire. I'm going to make a lot of money, retire. That doesn't align with my moral.
No, I would agree
I don't
with that.
want to.
Well, first of all, you're doing what you love. If you weren't doing it, what would you be doing?
Well, I think one of the things is men, we're really conditioned to hunt and gather and do those things and conquer. So if I'm not doing that,
yeah,
I'm not.
You're going to feel like your value is lesser. Yeah. I agree with
So we also have, like I said, a real estate business. Kelly has a business called Modern Mom on a Mission, where she really tries to work with female entrepreneurs, help them grow that business through that. And then we have Brixton Cattle Company, which is our dairy cattle. So we own a herd of about 40 dairy cows, a few here in Spokane, but the majority of them in Missouri, all registered. Actually, next week going to the World Dairy Expo, where we're going to be exhibiting several. So it's turned into a lot of things, and it's kind of what's next. So it's all interconnected, yet it's all separate.
Well, Tyler, it's why we wanted to have you here in the studio to talk about this. It's an amazing story. It's got a lot of different angles, and I think it's a story where hard work, passion, dedication, and you're getting up every day, getting the job done. Look what it turns into. Appreciate you being here in the studio. Have you come back? I think you need to write a book for starters. I think you really could. There's a lot of chapters there that I think we just hit on, but thank you so much. Come back again.
I appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.
I'm Mike Marzetta from Mind's Eye. One of my life's goals is to never grow up, never have to grow up. What could be worse? My wife, Christy, and I had kind of two fundamental values that kind of led to Mind's Eye's creation. We wanted to make the difference in lives of kids, and we wanted to have fun doing it. Mind's Eye Robotics is a high-quality, hands-on STEM education experience. We try to give the teacher a nice high-tech set of tools. We teach the teachers how to implement the curriculum in the lab, and 90% of it is them building, programming, formatting, designing, inventing. We want Mind's Eye to be cooler than Xbox. We want the kids to go there and come home from school every day and go, wow, I did the coolest thing today, and not necessarily know that they've learned all this stuff. Kids are very passionate about it. You can see that they're having fun, they're excited, they're energetic, they're in the zone. I hear a lot of it. How do I get my kids to do homework? Well, you make it fun, and they come in before class starts, and they stay late, and they're not thinking of the extra credit. They're thinking, I'm having too much fun, and I can't put this dang project down. It's college level stuff that they're learning. Change and learning are synonymous, and if you don't change, you get left behind. You got new companies emerging using new technologies and have a high demand for high skilled labor. They're good paying jobs. It'd be great to just hire some local folk to fill those. I think that we've got that kind of potential here in Spokane. We're graduating some great kids. When STCU supports learning, they're supporting our future. So many other organizations out there are so bottom line profit focused. I think they lose focus on what's important. I see STCU helping the greater community outside of it to get better, to learn, to grow, and to progress. We're here to do good. We're here to help the greater good. We're very proud to be able to partner with STCU to that end. I think what is a better place to help the greater good than with helping kids? I'm Mike Marzetta, and STCU is here for good.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.